Here I come, world. Here I come.
Lob it to Garnett beneath the foul line. The fadeaway with a hand in his face in the air for the win! Yes, sir!
Brandon over Weber. Oh! Kevin Garnett!
Anything is possible. If you're a basketball fan, you've heard the phrase a million times. But when Kevin Garnett grabbed the mic post-game after winning his one and only NBA title in 2008 and made that proclamation, it truly was the culmination of everything he had gone through in his career and his life. Garnett's path to becoming one of basketball's larger-than-life icons wasn't an easy one. Throughout it all, his passion and intensity for the game was unmatched, as was his trash talk. Meanwhile, what he offered on the court made him one of basketball's first unicorns. This is the story behind the big ticket, Kevin Garnett. Kevin Maurice Garnett was born on May 19, 1976 in Greenville, South Carolina to his mother Shirley Garnett. Garnett's biological father and his mother ended their relationship shortly after Garnett was born. Garnett's love for sports started during middle school, but he didn't begin playing organized basketball until he was a freshman at Molden High School in South Carolina. The wild part is, Garnett never told his mother about his passion for basketball. In a documentary series called Beyond the Glory, he revealed there were two things he was scared of in his life: God and his mother. Garnett's mother was so concerned about her children's studies that she didn't want them to shift focus to anything else. He even feared telling his mom so much that when he made the high school team as a freshman, he made his friend sign the permission letter. Until one day when she walked into the gym while KG was practicing with the team and said, "Your ass is mine when you get home."
Junior, number 20, Kevin Garnett.
After that, his mother became his biggest fan and his biggest critic, and Garnett's game began to flourish. He dominated in South Carolina, winning Mr. Basketball after a junior season where he averaged 28.5 points and 18.5 rebounds, and the college recruitment letters began to roll in. But in the summer of 1994, right before his senior year, Garnett would hit his first bump on the road to stardom. On the last day of school, Garnett was arrested and charged with second-degree lynching after a fight broke out in which the victim suffered a fractured ankle. Garnett and 5 other students were facing up to 20 years in prison for the fight, and his basketball career was in jeopardy before it even started. Garnett refuted ever being involved and claimed he was just an innocent bystander. That same summer, Garnett was supposed to attend the Nike Youth Camp in Chicago, but the camp was hesitant to invite him because they didn't want the attention to turn to his charges. After some persistence from scouts and his high school coach, Garnett was allowed into the camp and dominated, showing that he was the best high school prospect that year. His mother urged the courts to grant pretrial intervention for Garnett, a program that allowed for first-time offenders to have their charges dropped and expunged from their records if they completed community service. After that summer, Garnett and his family moved to Chicago for good, and Garnett enrolled in Farragut Career Academy in Chicago's West Side.
Farragut, a 6'11 senior, 34, Kevin Garnett.
Garnett's senior year is arguably one of the best high school seasons in basketball history. His combination of size, standing at 6'11", mixed with the speed and athleticism he possessed, made him truly unique. He had all the conventional skills of a guard, but evidently could dominate with the bruising big men in the post as well.
Advertised it would be.
Garnett under heavy pressure knocks it down anyway.
That's the way to play the game.
He led Farragut to a 28-2 record, was named Mr. Basketball for the state of Illinois, and the National High School Player of the Year by USA Today. He averaged 25.2 points, 17.9 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 6.5 blocks, all while shooting 66.8% from the field. Just a ridiculous stat line, even for high school standards. He was named McDonald's All-American, won the most outstanding player at the McDonald's All-American game, which included Vince Carter and Stephon Marbury, and was even honored as one of the 35 greatest All-Americans ever.
Goes to BJ Mackey, a half leader.
Garnett had every intention of going to college. After all, it was what his mother had intended in the first place, but he would struggle to pass the ACT, which was required to become eligible to play in the NCAA. Failing the standardized test pushed Garnett to declare for the NBA draft right out of high school. The declaration wouldn't come without skepticism from NBA scouts and coaches who didn't believe an 18-year-old could handle the jump to the league, being the first high school prospect to try to make the jump in 20 years. But 2 weeks before the draft, Garnett dominated a small tryout that was held by an NBA agent against older and more experienced competition. At that tryout, there were representatives from 13 lottery teams, and that's where he caught the attention of newly minted Minnesota Timberwolves general manager Kevin McHale.
With the 5th pick in the 1995 NBA draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Kevin Garnett.
Garnett was joining a fairly new franchise that had little to no success in its infancy stages. In the 6 years since the NBA expanded to the Twin City, the Timberwolves had failed to win more than 29 games in a single season. But KG, who at the time was the youngest player in the NBA, rejuvenated the franchise with his unbelievable passion and intensity for the game.
Unbelievable. The entire league is finding out a potential NBA superstar who Kevin McHale drafted last year.
Although Garnett's rookie year started with him coming off the bench, that quickly changed when Wolves GM McHale made a coaching change to Flip Saunders halfway through the year. Saunders moved Garnett to the starting lineup, helping him secure a spot on the all-rookie second team. Prior to Garnett's second year in the league, the Timberwolves made a draft day trade for Marbury, who at the time was one of the most tantalizing guards coming into the league. Garnett took a major leap that year, averaging 17 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks on the way to his first All-Star appearance, becoming the youngest player since Magic Johnson to make the midseason showcase.
It's the youngest man since Magic Johnson to make an All-Star team, Kevin Garnett.
He's 20 and he's going on 21. He's in the NBA.
He also led the Timberwolves to the franchise's first ever playoff appearance with a 40-42 record in year 2, but got swept by a more playoff-proven Houston Rockets team led by Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. In that summer, Garnett signed a max contract extension with the Timberwolves that, at the time, was the largest contract in NBA history, a 6-year, $126 million deal. That deal actually paved the way for the 1999 lockout, as owners used Garnett's contract as an example to negotiate a new deal that would extend rookie contracts to 4 years instead of 2, which is a variation of what the NBA still uses today. Despite skepticism around the massive payday, there was belief in Minnesota that the team had found its franchise player, its big ticket. Then, tragedy struck.
Timberwolves guard, NBA veteran Malik Sealy died as a result of a head-on car collision in suburban Minneapolis.
On May 20th, 2000, Garnett's teammate and best friend Malik Sealy was killed in a car accident when a drunk driver in a pickup truck was traveling the wrong way down a highway. Sealy was driving home from Garnett's birthday celebration in downtown Minneapolis. Sealy had a big impact in the development of Garnett's career, not only as a player, but as a superstar in the NBA. Former head coach and player Sam Mitchell spoke on Garnett and Sealy's relationship.
Best friends. Kevin was still kind of shy, didn't go out much, didn't do much, because people would be on him, and Malik was just like, screw that, man, let's go. And Malik brought Kevin out of that shell. Malik taught Kevin how to be comfortable with being a superstar.
The Timberwolves paid tribute to Sealy, retiring his number 2 jersey number. Garnett also paid tribute to him, writing to Malik in the inside tongue of his Adidas Garnett 3 shoes, as well as tattooing Sealy's name on his right arm. Garnett was dominant enough to lead some pretty bad Timberwolves teams that dealt with a lot of roster turnover to 4 more playoff appearances after 2000. But every year, those playoff appearances resulted in a first-round exit, except for 2004.
Garnett's going to drive for this one and throw it home! Woo. That was a man dunk.
2004 marked the most dominant individual season in Garnett's career, averaging a career-high 24.2 points per game, a league-high and career-high 14 rebounds per game, 5 assists, 1.5 blocks, and 1.5 steals while shooting 50% from the field on his way to his one and only Most Valuable Player award. The Timberwolves finished with 58 wins, the most in the NBA that season, and beat the Nuggets in the first round before having to face a dominant Sacramento Kings team led by Chris Webber. But that confidence and braggadocious Garnett came war ready.
So Game 7, man. That's it. It's all the marbles. I'm sitting in the house, I'm loading up the pump, I'm loading up the Uzi, I got a couple of M16s, a couple 9s, I got a couple joints with some silencers on them. I'm just loading up clips, a couple grenades, got a missile launcher with a couple, missiles. I'm ready for war.
Garnett eliminated the Kings in 7 games by putting up 32 points, 21 rebounds, and 5 blocks, but the Lakers were too much to handle for the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals. That 2004 playoff run would be the mountain high. In Garnett's last 3 years in Minnesota following that, the Timberwolves would fail to make the playoffs every single season. It's clear in hindsight, the Timberwolves failed to build a winner around Garnett. They had Chauncey Billups, who they traded after 2 seasons. They traded Marbury after 2.5 seasons for spare change because they didn't want to pay him. They traded Sam Cassell, who had just helped lead the team to the conference finals, to the Clippers for Marko Jaric. And the most consistent quote-unquote star player that Garnett had to play with throughout his tenure in Minnesota was Wally Szczerbiak, and they didn't necessarily get along. What may have hurt the Timberwolves the most was when owner Glenn Taylor and Kevin McHale tried to sign 1995 #1 overall pick Joe Smith in the summer of 2000. Smith inked a deal with the Timberwolves for 1 year worth $1.75 million, but that raised some eyebrows because Smith had just rejected an $80 million extension from the Warriors. As it turns out, Smith and the Timberwolves had an under-the-table agreement where Smith would sign 3 one-year deals for very little money, allowing the Timberwolves to go over the salary cap to re-sign him. That was, of course, illegal, and the NBA laid down the law. The league fined the Timberwolves $3.5 million, forced them to forfeit their first-round draft picks for the next 5 years, and suspended McHale and Taylor for 1 season for Joe frickin' Smith. So not only had the Timberwolves mismanaged trades and contracts, but they had also removed any chance of improving this team through its most viable option, the NBA draft. By 2007, it was obvious that Garnett and the Timberwolves were nearing the end of a 12-year relationship. But Garnett, for the most part, didn't want to get traded. And despite the constant rumors, the city of Minneapolis clearly loved him. After months of rumors, the Timberwolves finally traded KG to the Boston Celtics in exchange for Al Jefferson, Gerald Green, Theo Ratliff, Sebastian Telfair, and 2 first-round draft picks. The Celtics had already traded for another disgruntled star in Ray Allen on draft night, and now, in just 1 summer, had gone from a team that won 28 games the year prior to a perennial championship contender with the big 3 of Garnett, Allen, and Paul Pierce.
It's like being in a Lamborghini doing 200 with your head stuck out the window. That's what this last...
You done that, man?
I don't have a Lamborghini to begin with.
The 2007-2008 Boston Celtics are probably one of the most memorable NBA champions of this century, not only because they constantly remind you of it even to this day, but because of the cast of exuberant personalities like Garnett, Pierce, Allen, Kendrick Perkins, Tony Allen, and a young and exciting point guard in Rajon Rondo. Those guys formed a brotherhood, thanks in part to head coach Doc Rivers and one word he introduced to them in the summer of 2007, Ubuntu, which is a Bantu term for I am because we are. With that ideology in mind, the Celtics destroyed the competition through the regular season, winning 66 games and finishing with the best defense in the NBA, led by Garnett, who won that year's Defensive Player of the Year award.
Watch this, blocks that, and tips it, blocks this one.
It wouldn't come easy in the playoffs though. The Celtics bested the Hawks in 7 games in the first round, then continued to be a hungry LeBron James team in the second round in an epic 7-game battle. Then followed it up with a dominant 4-2 win over a juggernaut Pistons team in the conference finals to advance to the NBA Finals for the first time since Larry Bird donned a Celtics uniform. In those finals, it was a familiar foe waiting for them, the Los Angeles Lakers, led by MVP Kobe Bryant.
Garnett aggressive, looking for a shot early, gets inside, and the finish.
The The Celtics jumped out to a 3-1 lead and never looked back, ultimately coming out victorious in 6 games, and Garnett, just 1 year removed from his time in Minnesota, had finally won that elusive NBA championship, proving that
anything's possible!
The following year, the Celtics were just as dominant, winning 62 games en route to the 3rd best record in the NBA, but inevitably ran out of gas in the playoffs after a grueling first-round series versus the Chicago Bulls, where 5 of the 7 games were decided by 5 points or less. They were eliminated by the eventual East champions Orlando Magic in 7 games, despite being up 3-2 in that series. 2010 saw the Celtics dominate their way to the NBA Finals, including once again beating LeBron James' Cavaliers team. Garnett and the C's would face Bryant and the Lakers again, but this time as defending champions, and it was Los Angeles that came out victors in a grueling 7-game series.
Artest, that's a 3. Bang! Lakers by 6 with a minute to play.
By the 2010-2011 season, the tides of the NBA were changing. LeBron had created his own Big Three in Miami, partially due to losing to the Celtics' Big Three multiple times, and Boston's core of Garnett, Pierce, and Allen wasn't getting any younger. Despite that, the Celtics continued to be a thorn in LeBron's side, losing in 5 games to the Heat in the lockout-shortened season. 2012 saw LeBron's Heat and Garnett's Celtics face off again, but this time, the Celtics had a 3-2 lead going into Game 6. And while LeBron was injecting fear into the hearts of his competition, Garnett and the Celtics didn't necessarily see it that way.
We broke LeBron.
In Game 5.
So get your ass out of here with that, all right? You understand how you got the Cleveland, how you got the Miami Bill? You remember
That's
that?
true. You broke them in 2010.
Okay, so remember that, all right?
Fair
so
enough.
Stop bringing that up, all right?
Fair enough.
Fear or no fear, LeBron dominated the rest of the way in the series, eliminating the Celtics, which came to be the beginning of the end of that era of Boston basketball. Garnett and Pierce's bodies had started to wear down from the long playoff runs. Allen had abandoned ship and followed LeBron to Miami the following season, which created a rift between the Brotherhood that helped win them the title in 2008 in the first place. By the end of the 2013 season, when the Celtics were eliminated by the Knicks in the first round, it was clear it was time to move on. Both Garnett and Pierce were traded to the Brooklyn Nets in the summer of 2013, in hopes of helping them become contenders, but it was clear that their best days were behind them. Garnett was coming up on 20 years in the NBA. He'd played 2 seasons with the Nets before returning to Minnesota to finish out his career, finally retiring in 2016 after 21 seasons in the NBA. Garnett's personality helped him easily transition to on-camera work post-retirement, hosting Area 21 on TNT and featuring in the critically acclaimed Adam Sandler movie Uncut Gems, where Garnett played himself.
Why would you show me something if I couldn't have it then?
Through those 21 seasons, Garnett was a 15-time All-Star, an Olympic gold medalist for Team USA in 2000, and is 18th on the NBA's all-time scoring list.
To the foul line, it's in the air, the big ticket has just knocked out.
He's an MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year, an NBA champion, and one of the greatest trash talkers in basketball history. Garnett's laser-like focus, his intensity, and overall charisma wasn't for everyone. Heck, sometimes it even made him butt heads with teammates. But if there's one thing that holds true, it is that it made him truly unique. And throughout his career, he showed a resilience and adaptability that is unparalleled to anyone, all while becoming a trailblazer for positionless basketball in today's NBA. That's why he was a no-brainer when it came to being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Garnett's career isn't without bumps and bruises, without failure and triumph, heartbreak and victory. But if his story can teach us one thing, it's that anything is possible. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button.